we are honored to welcome in our next guest, founder and editor of the Weekly Standard, Bill Kristol, joining us for the first time. Hello, Bill. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us.
Hey, Steve. My pleasure. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. I have so much I want to talk to you about, so let me get right to it. This Obamacare fiasco. I saw you, trying to educate Keith Ellison the other day about Obama and what he said and why it's not true, or you want to call it a lie. Have you ever seen anything like this? There's now a report on Drudge that one of the same bundlers who runs one of the same companies that was responsible for the fiasco of the website is now been hired additionally to fix the fiasco. I mean, it's just kind of like in your face, one thing after the next.
Yeah, and it's big government at work and crony big government at work and the Obama administration at work and Obamacare at work. I think we really need to sort of keep reminding people this isn't just a bug in Obamacare. This is a feature of Obamacare. If you believe in big government's ability to run 20% of the U.S. economy and adjust all of our insurance premiums to just what they should be in the judgment of Big Brother in Washington, and tell us we're not going to lose our health insurance, and then we do lose it, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this, in a way, exemplifies just why some of us have been so opposed to Obamacare and so insistent that the core conservative agenda for the next 3 years, really, in addition to all the other things we need to accomplish at home and in the world, has to be the repeal of Obamacare.
Absolutely, and with the public now understanding that the White House knew in 2010 that not only what Obama was saying wasn't true, but that 95 to 97 million people would eventually lose the current insurance that they had once Obamacare kicked in. I mean, this is the issue going into the 2014 election, correct?
Yeah, I think it's the center of gravity of American politics, because there's always some issue, some piece of legislation, some area of public policy, or just life, that sort of exemplifies the difference in worldviews between the two parties. Sometimes it's more of a foreign policy issue, and God knows there are important foreign policy issues like Iran. Sometimes it's an economic, a tax policy issue. That was probably the case in the late 70s between Reagan and the Carter administration. Sometimes it's this kind of big government social engineering scheme. And for me, it's the social engineering that really brings home how radical Obamacare is. There are a ton of liberal policies that tax people to give benefits to the poor or the elderly or to students or others. And we could obviously, people like us tend not to like those policies very much and think they're much too extravagant and need to be reformed and all that. But that's one thing. I mean, they still don't really intrude on your personal liberty, on your personal life quite the way this does. I mean, think how stunning it is. A friend of mine here in D.C., 35-year-old guy, he had a health insurance policy he liked. He bought it in the private market from a health insurance company that presumably thought it was a good deal to sell it to him. It wasn't hurting anyone else. You know what I mean?
No, but it was a subpar bad apple policy.
Exactly, right. My friend who's a PhD in history from an Ivy League college, he can't actually judge what's good for him. And that is the heart, I think, of Obamacare. That we can't judge. We shouldn't be empowered to have more ability, incidentally, to shape our health care choices, which would be the right way to go. Instead, a bunch of experts in Washington are going to run everything for our benefit. And in that respect, it's a very revealing moment, I think.
Newt Gingrich made a comparison or an analogy, if you will, between Nixon's lies about Watergate and Obama's lie about this for 3 years. And, of course, the folks on CNN shot him down and said, do you want to reconsider what you said? Ooh, how could you say that? That's awful. You want to take it back. Do you think there's any credence to that analogy?
Yeah, the difference is that Obamacare, honestly, will do more damage to the country than Watergate ever could have done. Watergate was, stupid, petty, partisan politics, and Nixon did misuse the Oval Office and then did lie to the country about it, probably. But here we have a takeover of legislative takeover of a huge percentage of the economy and an area that's so important to everyone's lives. And so, no, it is. I'm not sure. I hadn't really thought of that analogy, but they're not quite comparable. But it's not as if what President Obama has done. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, I love the way the left, having touted Obamacare for all these years as such a huge accomplishment, is now sort of, oh, come on, it's just the law of the land, just relax, it's no big deal, nothing there, really. Government websites are always crashing, and government programs are always taking people's insurance away.
It's a lot deeper than that. We're talking to Bill Kristol here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me ask you about foreign policy. We had a former IAEA representative who was in that agency for 25 years on the show yesterday, who says Iran very, very close. They could have it in a month if they wanted it, a bomb. What should the United States do going forward, and what should Israel do, in your view?
Well, the United States should prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, but I don't think the Obama administration is going to. They called in a bunch of senators last night, apparently to browbeat them for not against moving for tougher sanctions on Iran. It's sort of a last gasp effort to persuade the Iranian regime to back off. They don't know. They believe in the negotiations. They think there's real hope that we can have an interim deal. I have no confidence, unfortunately, that the U.S. is going to do the right thing here, and therefore I think Israel has to really, it's an existential threat to Israel. I think they've got to decide what. I'm not going to tell a foreign government what to do, but I think they may well decide they have to act, and if they do, we should certainly support them. So this could be a huge issue in the next 6 to 9 months. And between Obamacare and Iran, I really think it'll bring home how feckless, how irresponsible, and really how damaging the Obama administration has been, unfortunately.
Bill, I hope you'll come back. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Happy to. Me too.
Thank you. Bill Kristol, ladies and gentlemen, founder and editor of the Weekly Standard, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Fascinating conversation, and he's right. Obamacare and Iran are going to be the two centerpieces of the 2014 elections. On the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.